Pete Dog.
Happy New Year.
Welcome to the new year, man.
Yes.
You know what's funny,
Likewise.
bro? This was funny. What's funny is for years, probably for years, I mean, I always text Happy New Year's. And I didn't understand, today I just finally looked at that and I was like, why am I pluralizing year?
I know what happens with that.
Tell me.
There's the apostrophe S for the possessive form of New Year's Eve. So people think New Year's Eve, and then they just drop the Eve when it becomes the day, and they leave the apostrophe S.
Yeah. But I've been thinking about that a lot, and it goes back into that same conversation we had last week about me getting more fundamentally sound, me more foundationally sound.
That is
Really
taking
thinking
it
about
to the max.
really thinking about exactly everything that's happening. Almost rewriting everything that I've been doing. You know what I'm saying? So like I stopped even saying Happy New Year this year. I start Welcome to the New Year.
Nice.
Right? Because I've been here. I've been here since April of 2024. I arrived in 2025, April 2024. When everybody else was still there, I was already here. So it made sense for me to welcome everybody because I've been waiting on y'all to get here. Oh man. Couple thoughts. Sheesh. This is the first time I can't see music the following year.
Come again?
Like I don't know what music looks like for me in 2026. Like I don't know what hip hop music looks like for me in 2026. I have no idea what it looks like. This is the first time in my life since 2003 that I couldn't see music the following year. I don't quite know what that means. You know what I'm saying? I'm not insinuating nothing. I'm just saying this is the first time in my entire musical career that I couldn't see music the following year. So like 2026, I can't see music. Like it's not obvious. I don't know if that's because I'm sure for sure God wants me to focus on 2025 because I've been planning this year pretty much since 2012. 2011, 2012. I've been planning 2025. Like I sacrificed pretty much all my 30s without making a true effort to make money. Like I just used all of my 30s, as far as my age, 30s, to just understand what it is that I'm doing. I just spent all my 30s learning about records, hip hop, and marketing. And testing myself. Once I finally kind of got an understanding, kind of like testing myself, making sure I got it right, marketing, making sure I got hip hop right, making sure I got records right. And I tested myself probably from 2019. The first test, like I said, was Tupac Must Die. And then from 2019 to 2024, it's just been tests and getting all of my past catalogs set up, like on streaming sites, because before I was putting out music right before streaming apps became a thing. So getting it up there. I got 2 more albums, which I should have did yesterday, but I didn't, but I'll do it today. And getting those up. And now it's like 2025 is like a culmination of all that knowledge. Now I need to nail it. Right? Sure. And this is what I want to say to everybody sitting at the lunch table. Use your resources better. Learn the trade and use your resources better. Like that's the thing I think we lack at culturally when I'm speaking to people that kind of grew up in the culture that shapes hip hop. We don't do a great job of using our resources, and we don't do a great job of foundationally understanding what it is we're trying to do. So I have to do a better job. Like I call Top Dog because he texts me back like I'm in the movies. I hit Kendrick. I'm like, hey, I need that beat with that verse. I need that today. Like I hit Akon yesterday. It was like, hey, I'm gonna come down there and do a hook because all of these people respect me, right? And I know what I am trying to do.
Sure.
Now that don't mean I'm going to explain to everybody. Something I realized Trey said. Shout out to Trey Edwards. He put it. Explanations. Hold on. Let me tell you exactly what it is. I think it's dope. It's like one of those things that I thought was fly. Explanations are a privilege. You know what I mean? And whether you think I think it's a privilege to the person that you're explaining to. So I want to start the new year off explaining to y'all to use your resources better and fundamentally, you know what I mean, understand what it is you're trying to accomplish. That's important. Get to the root of it to understand what you're trying to accomplish. This is No Ceilings Live, the lunch hour, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Pacific Standard Time right here, Digital Soapbox. Do me a solid lunch table. Click that thumbs up button. If you checking in from Twitter, man, I appreciate y'all. Much love. You know what I mean, player away. We do this stream to support the No Ceilings Podcast. Look below us in the description. No Ceilings Podcast. Available anywhere, Apple Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts, or anywhere you listen to podcasts at. The No Ceilings Podcast, executive produced by Charlemagne the God, the Black Effect Network, and iHeart. Shout out to everybody sitting at the lunch table already. My boy Lid is in the house. What that neighborhood like? BB, Fish, Squish, Fade, D. What's happening? Rob, thank you for moderating. Squish, thank you for moderating. Fade, what's the deal? So, just looking at 2025 like the task that it is. You know what I mean, what's your 2025 task list like?
Never had less of a purpose in my entire life on this earth.
Do that again.
There's no purpose. There is no vision. There is no agenda. There is no anything.
Is this the first year or this is the consistent thing?
This is the first year I've been as conscious of it as I am by far. I'm just looking around going, yep, there's nothing.
There's nothing?
There's nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. 360. Three-dimensionally 360. 360 cubed.
That's crazy, Pete. So you don't see nothing going on. Well, I just told you I didn't see music next year.
Yeah.
Well, no plans. None specific.
None even vaguely.
Well, I'm not mad at that. I got a shitload of plans.
That's good. It's encouraging.
This morning I woke up. This morning I woke up. Joey Badass from New York threw a shot at the West Coast. He said our penises were being tasted too much, I guess, by the world. And I don't think he really likes that people are, they're licking our penis right now. I don't think he's really into that. I think that makes him feel a certain kind of way.
Interesting.
He may, I don't think he likes that. So I'm interested to see which West Coast artist is going to heed the call, and respond.
He's good buddies with Malcolm. We'll have to pipe them into the to the lunch table grid. Have it out.
Yeah. It's entirely too much.
Yeah, we should do that for a promotion for when the season gets released.
I like that. Shout out to Squish. Pete, what's up with your comedy?
Nothing.
You know what? Pete needs to be worked into my 2025. We need to shoot Pete a comedy special.
You just should have ended it at Pete.
No, we need to shoot Pete
comedy special. Oh, sentence over. Here, say it again. We're gonna edit it out. Shit. No, start from the beginning.
We need to shoot Pete.
End the sentence.
No. You're not leaving the earth that easy. You have
yes, I did. I left the state that easy, didn't I?
Yeah,
I can take it a dimension further. Like
We need
that.
a Peter Boss comedy special. We need to start writing material.
Ain't shit funny.
No, we need to start writing material. We need to start writing material. You need to test it down there in Florida.
Nah.
Get the best stuff. It don't matter where. Listen, this is the plan. Test it down in Florida. Once we figure out what's sticking, we're going to shoot your comedy special.
Nah.
Yes. It should be the no ceilings present digital soapbox and no ceilings present Peter Boss live on Sunset.
We should call it No Laughs.
No laugh. Well, most of the funniest things in the world aren't jokes.
That's also true. Oh, you know what? Maybe No Jokes sounds funnier than No Laughs.
Yeah, no jokes. I like that too. See? Peter Boss, no jokes. No jokes.
Oh, hip hop just asked a very controversial question.
Glasses, when is your
Who's
new
the
album?
moderator that allowed that question to get posted? Who's in charge of this scene?
I am going to drop a new album in March, April. But again, I'm going to drop a song a week starting most likely at the end of this month or the beginning of next month. I'm partaking on a revolutionary mission to challenge the status quo of the current record industry today.
I like that.
And
I like that a lot.
so I'm dropping an album March or April. Most likely is going to be a double playlist. After that, I'm working on the LA Giants album and my homeboy Mr. White Dog's album. Two dope artists from LA, a dope rap group and a dope solo act. I'm working on their album. Then I'm going to drop another album around August with the homies. And then I'll drop my solo album, which is White Lightning 2 at the end of this year. That's my 2025. So I don't see 2026 making music. I don't know what that means. I don't know. I'm not saying it's over. I'm not saying none of that. I'm just saying this is the first time I don't see next year. Like, I don't know. I don't know what that means.
We're emptying the chamber. It's a lot of music coming out in 1 year.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's not the chamber is empty. Because I feel like there's things I could do making music, but it's just I'm excited about what I'm doing right now. Like, I think, okay, so I know God wants me to put my interest into what I'm doing right now. And I think because I have been in 2025 for, 7 months, 8 months before everybody else. I think God is like, yeah, I'm not going to reveal 2026. Focus on 2025. And again, like I'm saying, making better use of resources, relationships, everything. You know what I mean? That don't mean go out and ask a bunch of people for stuff, but definitely the people that really want to see you win. Like, I'm sure I know who the people are that want to see me win. And I think we all know the people that want to see us win. You know what I'm saying? So the people who want to see me win, I'm going to put a lot more in their hands of my life. You know what I mean? My career.
Sure.
More than ever before. And the people who don't want to see me win, that I've been kind of keeping a relationship going, I'm not going to probably focus on them when it comes to music. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe completely. Like, I'm not going to completely disown them, but right now I just got to finish the job. That's important. I done came too far to not finish the job. Every day on Twitter is some asshole Drake fan that's upset, you know what I'm saying, and talking shit. It's like somebody said, well, you only have 100,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. Like, and I'm like, okay, so I guess a sherm dealer who pretty much changed his life from going to prison, for 3 years and became a millionaire making music, that's not successful enough. So you want to be impressed, I'll impress you.
You had a golden opportunity to make a string of albums about tricking, and you decided to fail. Tricking sells.
Tricking?
Tricking sells. You know who knows tricking sells?
Ooh.
This rich Canadian guy. It's funny because tricking sells, whilst tricking is buying, it's also selling.
I'm crying, man. Shout out to Hussein Amin. Joey Badass is dope. Joey Badass is dope. Always been dope. His little shot at he definitely got himself on the radar because I for sure probably wouldn't have listened to the song if I didn't see he took a shot at the West Coast. But listening to it, Joey has always been dope. You know what I mean? Like it ain't really much. I think he did it out of, he wanted us to see. You say too much West Coast, penis licking, we gonna look. And we looked and I thought it was dope. But again, we can make hip hop exciting again. You know what I mean? So shout out to the people that's going to, participate. For some reason, in the back of my mind, when Joey Badass did that, people kept saying Ab Soul, and I'm like, nah, I don't want to see Ab Soul do it. Like if somebody is going to speak up for the West Coast and that love, you know what I'm saying? I would like to see somebody like Jason Cash. Jason Cash is the type of MC I think that he would do well in this position. Who else would I like to see respond to if I had to pick somebody? Jason Cash is the person that's in the back of my mind. Jason Cash is the person. I don't know why that is. Lit. Shout out to Lit Poppy. I've been thinking about Lit. Lit could respond. You know what I'm saying? But Jason Cash seems to be the first person on my mind from Carson. Like I think this is his moment to shine and really start popping. Shout out to Jeremy Cole. I want to see Game get at Joey. I do not want to see Game battle Joey Badass. That's just not. Yeah, nah. I'm cool. I'll pass. Not Chuck, bro. Honestly, Chuck is somebody I don't want to see battle at all right now.
Yeah.
I just want to see Chuck really focus on documentary 3. I want to see Chuck do a documentary concert. You know what I mean? This is the 20th year anniversary of documentary. This is the 20th year anniversary of my first mixtape, White Lightning. I want to see Chuck really. I noticed there's been this really big conversation with the game about his positioning as an all-time great MC on the West. And for some reason, like he's under the belief that he's not top 10 or something, or he's not revered. He don't like his space. And I think it's obvious that Game is top 10 on the West. Like I think it's obvious. I think there are some people in the conversation, but Game is top 10.
LA only or the whole West?
The whole West, including the Bay, including the whole West, all Seattle, every state. Because when I think about it, it's like Chuck was able to do something, bro, nobody really could do in hip hop. It's very few people in the history of hip hop ever did it. Like Chuck probably has a joint MVP year. You know what I mean? Chuck probably Game and Jeezy owned 2005. It was a co-MVP year that year. Game owned the first half, Jeezy owned the second half. And that alone, if you win an MVP, it's hard to compare a bunch of other people who've never been MVPs of hip hop. I think we had a really dope conversation about that. Who was the MVP of hip hop? And it was really interesting when we was looking at it. Cube is somebody I think that's won the MVP award of hip hop twice. I think Snoop has won the MVP of hip hop once or twice. Tupac has won the MVP of hip hop probably in 96. 95 would have probably been Biggie.
That's fair.
98. That's a tough year, right? Because you got Juvenile, Jay-Z, DMX. DMX drops 2 albums, really brings the game to another place, though.
He blew up nuclear. Like, yeah. I mean, he really did.
And again, like when you think of Jay-Z. Jay-Z did kind of finally cross over into the mainstream. You know what I'm saying? And he did sell 5 million, and Juvenile comes and he explodes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Obviously, but DMX, oh man.
That was it. That's another example of a guy. I think it's sort of similar to 50 in the following sense, in that both of those guys, sometimes some stuff goes so damn big, so damn fast that it becomes impossible to sustain. You know, like
Yeah.
just there's there's like a diagonal growth trajectories, and then there's just like throwing a grenade in a room. I feel like they were like that.
So 97 would have been Biggie. 97, Biggie would have been the MVP of hip hop. 98, oh man, Julie, I'm going to give it to DMX.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it to DMX.
And I like
DMX,
Juvenile a lot, but
yeah, me too.
DMX was.
That's probably the greatest album ever out of the South. I'm actually okay with saying that.
Yeah.
I think in 99, could be Dr. Dre, maybe Eminem.
I would say
Maybe
Eminem.
Eminem. Probably Eminem.
Dre's more, I would say, a 2000 conversation.
Yeah, probably Eminem. No, 2000 is Nelly.
Okay.
2000 is Nelly. 2001 is Jay-Z. Yeah. 2001 is Jay-Z. Jay-Z was like, kid. Or it could be Nas.
What year did Outkast really like pop? Like for like as far as their highest point?
Outkast always was something. As long as I can remember.
They were always something, but they had a moment where it went from being always something to being a lot bigger than it previously was.
Probably somewhere in the 2000s. They was but they was always kind of larger than life. They was always on the upper scale in hip hop. 2000 Nelly should be the MVP. 2001, I don't know. That's a tough one because my fandom wants to say Jay-Z. Right? Jay-Z drops the blueprint. Jay-Z's making a run. But also, this is Nas's comeback because people had so much slander to say about Nas in 2001. You know what I mean? A ton of slander. Of slander for Nas. And Nas comes back and wins probably the top 3 battle, hip-hop rap battle of all time, and drops Stillmatic, which is probably my second favorite Nas album. So you know what? I'm gonna still give it to Nas anyway. And forgive me, Jay. Like you my guy, man. You the guy, bro. But I'm going to give it to Nas that year, 2001. 2002. I remember the records, but I gotta look at the records. 2002. Who was it? Oh, that's a tough. Oh, Eminem.
Again?
Eminem.
Okay. And now 2003 is 50.
Oh yeah. That's not even close. Yeah. 2003 is 50.
A lot of this is just trying to remember the accurate year.
Yeah, 2003 is 50. 2004 is Kanye.
Yeah.
2005 is split between Game, and I don't like that feeling of not giving Outkast MVP. That don't feel right.
I feel like they had something in there. It was weird as they had that double album. That was probably like 2004. But the album with like Rosa Parks on it and everything, that really, I thought that was the album that turned a corner for them. Or no, like the Sorry Miss Jackson album.
Yeah, but I don't know.
That really.
Damn, is there a year that Outkast should have been the clear MVP of hip hop?
The closest year probably is something like an 2001 is probably their best year. I want to say.
Let me see.
I feel like that was around the somewhere around that year, because like they really didn't spread out. Like they didn't really get everywhere.
Yeah, that don't feel right. Not saying Outkast is not an MVP, and we all the way in 2005,
Yeah.
and I haven't said Outkast name.
Like personally, I didn't hear them really much on like LA radio until like Rosa Parks. But then once the next album after that hit with Miss Jackson and all that, that was like a big freaking ass deal.
I see what happened. So
they just
in
happened to pick the wrong years.
In 94, they dropped the solo album. You know what I'm saying?
Is that Southern Playalistic?
Yep. But I get
and
what
ATL
happened.
was like 96.
Yeah, and that's Tupac's.
Yeah, they just picked bad years. Sorry,
oh,
guys.
Nas drops in 94. Illmatic.
Yeah.
Scarface dropped. Oh, that's a tough year. Warren G drops. That's a good question. Hey, put that in the chat. Shout out to the moderators. Put this in the chat. Who deserves the MVP of 94?
Wait, Regulate came out in 94?
Yes. I know that for sure too. Yep. So
that's gonna be hard to beat.
Illmatic drops in 94.
That song went damn near diamond.
Biggie drops Ready to Die in 94, but it didn't really hit to 95 for everybody. Southern Player drops in 94. Scarface The Diary drops in 94. Warren G Regulate G-Funk Era drops in 94. Method Man Tikal drops in 1994.
What year did Cream drop? That was 94, right?
No, that's 93. Coolio It Takes a Thief drops in 94. Funkified drops in 94. MC8 We Come Strapped drops in 94. Big Mike Something Serious drops in 1994. Spice One America's Nightmare drops in 94. Uncle Sam's Curse Black Superman Above the Law drops in 1994.
Here's a question for the board.
Oh, Snoop drops Murder Was the Case in 1994.
Yeah.
That's a tough year.
Here's a question for the board. This is a real good question because I can't solve it, so that must make it good. Bigger song by itself, Gangsta's Paradise or Regulate?
Whew.
That's a really tough question.
Whew. I probably like Regulate. I probably like Regulate more.
Same.
But the greater song
hit a higher height.
The greater song is probably Gangsta's Paradise. Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. That's a tough year. That's a tough year to give an MVP to. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, if you ask anybody in New York or anybody on the East Coast, Illmatic was everything to them.
Yeah. But I'll say
Southern Player was huge on the West. The Diary was huge on the West. Regulate was huge on the West. Tikal was huge on the West.
Regulate was so big that Warren G performed this DJ on spring break in Mexico.
Yeah, yeah.
That's pretty fucking big.
Woo, that's a tough year. That is a tough year.
Dude, I'll say this much. Do you know how much Pepsi was sold via MTV following Gangsta's Paradise with commercials that year? Pepsi stock went up 10% because of Coolio. That's hard for me. Like, I haven't heard a song Own a Summer like that. That song is like the DMX song. Like, where certain songs just go so goddamn fucking monstrous. They're like you can't run from them. I would open junk mail and the song would pop out. Yeah. It was crazy.
Shout out to Don Dub. How we judging this? By accomplishments, awards, or sales?
Nobody knows.
I guess you have to judge everything. You know what I mean? That's tough. But let's not go there. We'll do that Friday. We'll do the MVP for hip hop over the last. We'll do 30 years of hip hop. The last MVP.
That's 2.5 minutes a year. That's enough.
Yeah. We'll do 30 MVPs, so 94 to 2024, and then we'll predict our 2025 MVP. We'll get Trap here for that because this is right up his alley. trap is like if I am the dictator of hip hop, trap is truly my pope. He's really the vicar. You know what I'm saying? Trap for sure is the vicar. And you can't talk hip hop without New York. You know what I'm saying? So we'll wait to trap pop back. We'll make that Friday. Hip hop's MVP. That'll be a good stream. But let's focus on what we were talking about.
What were we talking about?
We were talking about Outkast, and is there a year that Outkast should have been MVP? So Southern Player 94. Yep, 94 is tough for Outkast.
Yeah.
96 is Tupac. It's crazy because that's my favorite Outkast album.
Yeah, they just picked shitty years.
Aquemini is 98. So this is DMX, Juvenile.
DMX and Juvenile, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
they
DMX, Juvenile,
terrible years.
And Jay-Z breaks out to the mainstream. Stankonia is 2000. This is Nelly with Country Grammar.
Yeah, they just picked terrible years.
Speaker Box, The Love Below, the double CD was 2003.
Yeah, you're opposite 50.
That's just
they just picked Idlewild. You couldn't possibly come out with 4 or 5 albums like that. You want to know the secret? Here. This is how you're going to go diamond in 2025. You get Outkast to come out with an album this year, you're guaranteed, because they're going to put whoever the hell else puts out an album just above them.
Shit. Yeah, so I get it. So I get why Outkast and Jay-Z has the same thing going on, where like Jay-Z has never been a clear number one the way he should have as a hardcore Jay-Z fanatic. He's never been number one the way he should have because his years have been crazy. Like right in 96, when he drops his debut, this is Tupac going crazy that year, right? Passes away, messes the game up. 97, he still hadn't quite developed, and Biggie passed away, and life after death becomes the biggest thing. 98, when he finally arrives on the scene, you know what I'm saying? 98, when he finally arrives on the scene with Hard Knock Life and this great album, DMX, this other dude from Yonkers comes out, and it's just like, he gives us everything we loved about hip hop. You know what I mean? Like it never felt as New York. It hadn't felt that New York probably since Wu-Tang. And then like it's one person, you know what I mean? So it hadn't been that New York probably since the first time. Like DMX gave us the same thing the first time we saw LL Cool J in a different way.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like that New York where you really wanted to be from New York when you saw DMX. You really wanted to be from New York when you saw DMX. You know what I'm saying? It was like, wow. You know what I'm saying? 90, like Jay-Z had a run, but it was always somebody competing at the space. Like he didn't get a chance to have that Snoop year, or that Nelly year, or that Eminem year where he just was like way on top of the game.
Yeah.
But that's also what makes Jay-Z so special too. You know what I mean? He's always been top 3, always in the thick of things. You know what I mean? When he was on his run from 98, I would say, to 2003, he was always right at the front of it, which is why, he is revered, if not the greatest hip hop artist, one of the few, one of the 5.
Sure.
Because he was,
what's another name?
5 years straight. For 5 years straight, he was right there at the front of it in every conversation.
There's a little bit of that also with Wayne.
Well, Wayne has 2008.
He has 08?
Yeah, that's clear. I saw that up close and personal.
Blur to me.
Yeah.
I can't always go on.
Yeah, I saw that up close and personal. 2003 was Lil Wayne.
Sure. I always have a hard time with some of the Young Money stuff determining what was Lil Wayne's. They came out with so much stuff with so many people for like a year, not a year, but like a multi-year run there, where it was like you got him with him, you've got him with Drake, you've got him with Nicki, you've got the Young Money collabo, you've got I'd have to go back and really sort out whose was what in that era.
2008 was Carter 3.
Yeah.
They did like 1 million first week. It was like that shit was everywhere. I
Yeah.
remember I couldn't go, and then being signed to the label, 2008. Forgive me. Quarter 3 was
Yeah.
2008. But I remember being signed to that label at that time, seeing that up close and personal. What's funny is I was signed to Game when he sold. So I was signed to Black Wall Street when Game sold 500,000 first week, gold first week. Then I was
Yeah.
signed to Cash Money Records in 2008 when Lil Wayne sold over 1 million records first week. Like I saw those things up close and personal. So that shit was different. You know, that type of success was something to see. But it's one of those things where hip hop is in for a really crazy year. I think hip hop is going to have a different type of resurgence. I see people on X saying, "Oh, you know what? It's going to get back to regional," and I'm like, hip hop always was regional. The reason it hasn't been doing as well is because it got away from being regional.
Sure.
Like you had to buy everything because everything sounded different. Everything was for different moods. Like I said, if we go back to 1994 hip hop, that album, those albums in 94, like Illmatic sounded nothing like Ready to Die. Ready to Die sounded nothing like Southern Player. Southern Player sounded nothing like The Diary. The Diary sounded nothing like Regulate.
Yeah. Even if you go into like later on, same general region, but you have Outkast sound nothing like 400 Degrees, sound nothing like Nelly. That was kind of, I thought, in that period of time, what was so cool about the genre was somebody would come out and they gave their city a sound. Like, who would think that your city has a sound? You get off a plane, you expect to, what's it going to sound like over here?
Yeah, but that's because, and again, like I said, the sound really is rooted in the culture.
Sure.
Like we got everybody's culture. You know what I mean? And that's what I think really motivated the sound. Like when you heard that Mardi Gras jazz style of Manny Fresh. You know, I remember when Mystical first came out. Like I was a big Mystical fan from the beginning. I probably got Mystical album, even though it was like a minor release. It wasn't a huge release. I probably had it 2 months or a month after it first came out. And I fell in love with the first Mystical album, not the album he made for No Limit, but the first Mystical album.
Yeah.
And you could just tell he was like just this fantastic MC with his own style. You know what I mean? You could just tell. Shout out to Shots Fire 415. What's good, G Malone? Big Fig Munity World here to support. Much love to the Fig Munity World. One of the greatest streaming ideas to ever come to social media, man. They are hilarious. Those are funny. They crazy, but I love the content. You know what I mean? I don't watch it as much as I should because I be trying to learn some shit. But when I want to just laugh, I'll watch the homies. They are funny as hell. Again, like you would get culture. I mean, you would get the culture, and the culture crafted the sound and the way you talked and the way you dressed, and you saw all of that. And I think hip hop doesn't have a choice. But also, I think it's part of it is because everything okay, Pete?
I mean, it's a 9-point game, but yeah, it's okay.
Oh, okay. Now I'm looking like you looking like somebody was. That's like, hold up, bro.
I was trying to sneak this out. I got some glare, so I'm trying to like see the score through the glare.
No, okay. So shout out to Rob Gotti. What's up, baby? Hey, so much love to the Fig Munity World as always, man. It's good folks. I think it don't have a choice. I think at that one time communities were outside of your house, so you didn't have a choice. But I think as social media came, it kind of pasteurized culture in a way. And we were just talking about this on the last comparative where I was explaining, like, you know, what separates hip hop from mainstream pop, you know, rap music that you use pop, you know, pop music that you use rap. And it's like when you just go around bouncing around taking everybody's sound, right? that's
Yeah.
what pop music is, versus hip hop was always like the culture was put into what you heard and saw.
Yeah.
Um, Shout out to Tree who makes a good point. Atlanta wouldn't let it go. Detroit had it for a few years now. What's funny, Tree, I told everybody Atlanta, you know what it is? The producers create the movements. Like you need multiple producers to create the movement. You know what I mean? But they also have to be playing outside. Like they gotta make music inspired by what's outside their front door. And the problem is, everybody spends so much time online on social media that they begin to talk like how social media talks. Like somebody will walk outside and say, oh, you glazing that person, even though you probably would get your head blew off if you say that to another human being that's any level of, you know, real. You can't just tell everybody, man, you sucking his dick or you riding his dick. That'll get your head hurt. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm saying everybody's using like social media culture when they're speaking to each other.
Sure.
They're using social media culture when they're speaking to each other. So, you know what I mean? It's like there is no culture in that. That's mainstream.
Well, I mean, that's kind of sounds more like the lyric than the music. You know what I
Well,
mean?
even on the musical side, right? Because remember, all of these things go into that
Sure.
experience that we grew up hearing, Pete, where like the act would produce the culture from outside their front door. And even if you lived in Newport Beach, they didn't talk like people talked in Compton.
Sure, sure.
It was a different sway of the land. So, but if you are starting to talk the way people talk on Twitter, then it's going to become generic.
Yeah. And that's like one thing. I mean, like I like CML, but like the last couple of years, all this shit beat wise, it sounds like knockoff Detroit beats. It's all the same sound. And it's like
And the Detroit beats
I
come
don't know what.
from the same machine. I think they made, what is it, techno or house? Detroit made techno or house. Which one?
I think that'd be house.
So the same machine that they produce house music with, that's a big influence on their hip hop.
Yeah.
That's why the bass sound, like I was looking at the machine and watch somebody use it. They were showing me how to use the machine. And it's like the bass line is already playing it and they just adjust the sonics. And it's
Yeah,
a crazy thing, but that's why Detroit did well in hip hop, right? Because they really created their sound from their origin. Like, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Okay, house is from Chicago, so it's techno. Detroit created techno.
Okay. I thought that house was a type of techno, but I guess not.
No. I mean, but again, that's one of those things that people don't talk about will blow your mind. You know what I mean? Like that techno and house come from the Midwest, some brothers. So it's one of those things where it's like the machine, the instruments that they use to create that techno stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of the same machine that inspires the sounds of the Detroit hip hop that we all fell in love with since the streaming era came about.
Yeah.
That's what I love about Sada Baby. You know what I'm saying? So it's up to us to get back into offering unique, perspectives when it comes to hip hop. It's up to us. Like it's up to us. Like here's a chance.
Sure. And I think some of it too is like the artist isn't the only person on social media. Everybody else is too. So you go outside, you're surrounded by a bunch of people who are saying the same shit they saw everybody else say from God knows where. So it becomes a little bit harder to regionalize your experience in some of the small things.
Say that one more time. Sorry.
Like the artist isn't the only person who's on social media. Everybody else is too. So even if you turned your social media off and you go around your city, everybody else is going to be saying the same shit that they heard on social media too. So to regionalize your experience becomes a little bit harder in the modern era.
You know what's funny? It's not quite like that.
You don't think so?
That sounds crazy. I know it's not. Like my homies don't talk like that. Like the other day I went to we had a sneaker ball. My neighbor had a sneaker ball. The 7 had a sneaker ball, and I was talking to the homies and nobody talked like that. I don't think social media really influences the ghetto as much as the ghetto influences social media. You know what I mean? I know
I know
that's
what you mean.
crazy, but I don't think the consumption level of culture is as big in the ghetto as you would imagine. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true.
Mhm.
I know, trust me, bro, because I'm talking to homies and I'm
But how
talking to
old are they
young
though?
homies, and I'm talking about young homies. I'm talking about homies that's 20, 19, 18. They don't talk like when somebody's saying something to me on Twitter. They still sound like people outside. I mean, you could tell they have social medias, but I don't think they're consuming it the way you would imagine.
Sure. I mean, they're not blank slates, like a lot of other
Yeah,
people.
yeah, there you go. They're too seasoned to accept new seasoning.
Yeah.
Like it's only so much flavor you could add into that mix versus, let's say, in mainstream America where they're jicama. There's no flavor at all. It's like celery. You know what I'm saying? You can
Yeah.
you can flavor that with anything, but like, in the ghetto, you already flavored. So it's like it ain't really a lot of room because you go out there and say some of that shit to somebody, you're gonna get killed.
Well, yeah.
So but I also think that's why hip hop is doing well. You know what I mean? Like it's just not as mainstream. Like we looking at, shout out to the drill movement in Chicago, right? That had the rock, what was it, from probably 13, 14 to like 16. And then Detroit. See, a lot of times we're looking at Atlanta like Atlanta got the rock, bro. Atlanta really kind of hasn't, their acts have been around since, I don't know, the early 2000 teens.
And Memphis really had a lot of guys come out that had a lot of a run in that era too.
Yeah, yeah. Memphis is definitely making a stay. But also because Tay Keith.
Yeah.
I mean, you could break stuff. So, but I think Detroit is like a great wave that, it wasn't as mainstream per se as, let's say, the West Coast run or New York's run, but man, a lot of us was on that Detroit stuff, like hard. Like Sada Baby emerged as one of my favorite guys over the last 15 years. Sada Baby probably in the last 15 years of being my personal top 5 or 10.
Yeah. All
I
right.
probably caught about 8 Sada Baby songs that I really like. You know what I mean? So I think Detroit is the perfect example of a movement that's doing well in hip hop without necessarily crossing over to the mainstream. That's actually what hip hop is all about.
Sure.
Um, but besides that, I think 2025 is more about using your resources better and really getting into what you're trying to do at a fundamental level. Really getting into what you're trying to do at a fundamental level. What do you think 2025 should be about for people, Pete?
I mean, I'm not big on years and shit like that. Every day is about the same to me. So whatever it is that you want to be about, be the fuck about it, you know, and understand it top to bottom and pursue it top to bottom, front to back. So if you want to be about increasing the amount of money you make, or being more spiritual, or getting a house, or taking a trip to Europe, or Christ knows where, or whatever it is, just focus on doing that. And part of that is use your resources appropriately. People, I think, when you're not using your resources appropriately, you either want to do two things. Either you're focused on something that's not what you say you want to be focused on. And so you distract yourself with something else and you allocate your human capital to the wrong place. Or, you're just saying shit just to say it. And it's not really your priority.
Mm. talking and doing two different things. Talking one thing and doing something different.
Yeah, or people want to, I think in a lot of cases they try to, on a phrase that I don't like, speak into existence. So they'll
Yeah.
try to I want to say that my priorities are A and B because you want them to be A and B. But in reality, you're not ready to make those your priorities yet. C and D are still your priorities, and you're still doing C and D things, while A and B is taking a back burner to those priorities because while you might want it not to be, it still is.
Shout out to Unknown Raider Guy. Much love. Shout out to the lunch table, man. Offer me y'all advice. What do y'all think should happen for hip hop in 2025? What would you like to see? Back to more lyrical hip hop. I think it's out there, Unknown Raider Guy. I think you just got to find it and don't worry about if they're marketing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's out there. Just don't worry about if they're marketing to you. Go find it yourself. Like, we're in a space now where you can find what you want, and it's a ton of what you want. It may not be marketed to you. And that's a different conversation.
And you don't have
Shout
to
out to the
spend
homie Name
$18
Brand.
to figure it out either.
Say who?
I say you don't have to spend $18 to,
Right.
answer a question either. You can find out what you like for free.
Fact. Shout out to Name Brand. Find your passion year. Let the money come naturally. I'm not mad about that neither. Shout out to Don Dub. Learn aspects of managing your brand. That's not bad at all. Shout out to Rich N TV. Ghetto culture is much stronger than social media culture. That's the reason it truly can't overthrow it. You know what's funny? I was explaining that to somebody the other day that ghetto culture or street urban culture, right? The thing that is competing with it is social media. Social media, not the culture itself, but hip hop, right? Hip hop is the artistic expression, right, of social media. Excuse me, hip hop is the artistic expression of street urban culture. But then, like, social media allows you a direct access pipeline into the same culture without the artistic merits.
Sure.
You can get right to it. You can, like, you don't got to listen to a Nipsey Hussle album, you know what I mean, to get the culture of the Rolling 60 Crips. You can go watch Brick Baby talk. You know what I'm saying? So you have to recognize that there's a different access to the culture than, you're not the only provider. It's not just McDonald's no more. You know what I mean? Now there's Burger King, now there's Rallies, now there's Wendy's, now there's Five Guys. There's different access to a hamburger. If street urban culture was a hamburger, like, yeah, McDonald's kind of patented and got it going first, but now there's other businesses that take you right to the culture without the artistic expression of it. I mean, so you got to realize that in that situation, I think you really got to make the experience of buying a hamburger and eating a hamburger a lot more special than you ever had to, because people don't need to pay those prices anymore. You know what I mean? People don't gotta pay those prices anymore. You know what I'm saying? They can get to it. So when you want somebody to come into your establishment, as a hip hop act, you got to really make it a very hamburgery experience. You know what I mean? Really work on that. And that's what it is as a hip hop act. I think it has no choice but to getting back to representing outside the culture. You know what I mean? Like, it probably does need to become more competitive to where, like, a Joey Badass, you know what I mean, is obviously envious of the love that, the West Coast has been getting. So he says something that may be, considered derogatory. And some West Coast artists should answer the call, you know what I'm saying, and say, hey, we're worthy of such love. You know what I'm saying? It's time to get back to representing. Let everybody hand go. Let's stop holding hands. Stop saying kumbaya. Let everybody hand go. You know what I'm saying? Get to it. But Friday we should do that MVP. We should talk about it a little bit more. I'll write it down, and then we'll go over it and I'll present it to you, and we'll talk about it. We'll get trapped in here. We'll get still in here, and go from there. No Sinners Live, the lunch hour, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Pacific Standard Time, right here on Digital Soapbox. Click that thumbs up button, share this link, let everybody know you in the house. We do this stream to promote the No Ceilings podcast. This is the 4th season. We're coming to an end of the 4th season. It looks like we're probably going to be back for a 5th through 7th season. So we really got to step it up and do more things visually. More conversations with streamers. You know what I mean? We very much are a hip hop podcast, no matter what it looks like. So we just got to figure it out to make it better. But again, we do this stream to promote the No Ceilings podcast below. Make sure you click the link, subscribe to the No Ceilings podcast, Apple Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcast from. No Ceilings podcast, executive produced by Charlemagne the God, Breakfast Club, Charlemagne the God, the Black Effect Network, and iHeart. Anything else you want to add, Pete?
If we bring Steele into the MVP list by years, we're going to have to rein him in to not start it back in 1966.
Yeah, we might do a space on the Joey Badass joint. Me and Squishy got to get Pete on Twitter again, man. I don't know how we got to do it, but we got to get him on Twitter, dog.
Oh, God. Twitter is... Why? So you can go through all this effort and I get kicked off again in 36 hours?
They kick you off, bro. Elam's social media is different.
They still run it. I still appeal. They still upheld my appeal.
No, that's something else is going on. We got to figure it out. We're going to get you back. We're going to get you back.
We'll see.
Shout out to Daniel Walters, who said he found us on Spotify a while ago. Much love to Spotify podcast.
Oh, nice.
That's fire. She said, I told you I need a line on Pete. You're not helping me. I told Pete to text you his damn line.
How the fuck am I going to do that?
Just hit her on Instagram.
I don't know where she is on Instagram.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to text you his number right now. Pete is trash. I told Pete to text you his number. Hold on.
What does that even mean? How you didn't? Hey, I don't remember.
You know, this social media. We just was talking about social media. Text.
I don't remember hearing the A, but I was just going to start sorting through, just type in Squishy and just hit it. Just
yes.
Buckshot everybody my phone number
on Instagram. Yes. Pete. Them dreads look good, Squish. Nice dreads. Messaging to do IG is essential. Pete, what you sipping on?
Well, today we went with the, I call it the Martinez de Olla. It's the Cafe de Olla I have to make on the stove myself because I'm in Miami and they don't sell that shit down here, with tequila cristalino, shaken martini style. It's very tasty.
Shout out to my niece, Dejanay. Happy new calendar year, lunchroom. That's a great point. Shout out to Michael Love. Damn, almost missed lunch. What to do, everyone at the lunch table? We up in here, dog. We was thinking about rapping, but I know Friday we coming back to do the last 30 years of MVP in hip-hop. We're going to bring my boy Trap on. We're going to bring Still on, and we're going to make it special. Special. So much love to everybody, man. Y'all enjoy y'all new year. Politic with me. Get at me. Let me know what y'all thinking. And make sure y'all check in and check the new streams. Oh, shout out to Rob. I'm drinking a chamoy flavored michelada.
My man.
Shout out to Don Dub. I fuck with Pete after the drink lineup. Pete got the drinks. Shout out to Daniel Walters. Wow, hell of a drink. Sounds complicated.
And not so much. That was actually not so much. I was going to make the coffee anyway, so, I had to make the most of it.
Much love to y'all, man. We see y'all Friday.